Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Cobalt, and in this video I'm going to show you an easy method for writing the electron configurations in the order in the orbital diagram. So let's get into this. Um, so in a previous video we talked about how the energy levels are related to the sublevels, and how the sublevels related to the number of orbitals and things like that. But in this video, we're going to focus on just the relationship between the energy levels and the sublevels. So we remember that if we have n, the n number, that's your energy level. So n is energy, and so if we write down the numbers of the energy, they start at 1 and they go on till whatever. So I have all the way down to 9. And so we saw before that the number of the energy level you're at matches or corresponds to the number of sublevels that you have. So let's go ahead and write this down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the sublevels this way, and I'm going to add the number of the energy level to each sublevel. So at energy level number 1, you have only one sublevel, and that's the S. So we're going to call that the 1S. Okay. Then at the second sublevel, you have at the second energy level, you have two sublevels. Those are the S and the P. This is where the P comes in. So we have an S and a P, but since we're at the second energy level, we're going to put a 2 in front of there to recognize or identify that particular sublevel as an energy 2 sublevel. So here we're going to have a 2. So I'm going to put the S's in a column, and I'm going to put the P next to it. So we're going to have 2P. So there's our two sublevels for the second energy level. And for the third energy level, we have 3 sublevels. So that's going to be SP, and this is where we add the D. So we're going to add the SP and D, but since we're at the third energy level, that's going to be 3S. So we're going to put the energy level in front of the number or letters. So 3S, 3P, and then we have 3D added on. And so then we keep going, and for every number we add a new sublevel. So we're at energy level number 4, so we're going to add 4. So that's going to be SPD, and now we're going to add F. So the F sublevel. So that's going to be 4S, 4P, 4D, and 4F. Now, the F sublevel is where we normally stop because that's the only level that we have that our atoms or elements that we know of occupy. But theoretically, we could go beyond that. So I'll write more theoretical ones as we go on. So, for example, if we are at level number 5, that means we have 5 sublevels, but we only know up to 4. So we can continue the alphabet and just identify that last one as a hypothetical. So here would be 5S, 5P. So all of the energy level or sublevels here would have a 5 because they're in the 5th energy level. So this would be 5D, 5F. And if we're continuing the alphabet, next would be G. So this would be 5G, and I'll put parentheses around that to identify that that's a hypothetical. We don't know of that existing, but there's no reason why we couldn't identify that or discover that in the future. And then we just keep going on. So for 6, we would have 6 sublevels. So 6S, 6P, 6D, 6F. And then here we have 6G. And then after G is H. So we could have 6H after that. And we can continue with the 7. So we have 7. So that's going to be 7S, 7P, 7D, 7F. And then, of course, we would have 7G, followed by, oops, I want to make sure this is in the row, 7H, and then after H is I. So we're going to put 7I. And let's just do one more, but we could keep going and going. So here we have 8S, 8P, 8D, 8F, 8G, 8H, 8I, and of course, after I is J, so 8J. Okay, so, and we could keep going and going and going on for infinity, but we're going to stop here. And so here is the pattern of the sublevels and the levels. So now that we have this, we can do our easy method of figuring out the order of where the electrons are going. So do I expect you, or does any teacher expect you to memorize the order of the sublevels? Maybe there's some out there that expect you, but here is a nice way that a method. If you set this up, you can basically know the order of the orbitals in which the electrons are filling up the orbitals of the electron configuration of your atom. So how can we remember where the electrons go first, where do they go next, and so on and so forth? So now that we have this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw diagonal arrows. So we're going to draw diagonal arrows this way. So I'm going to go through the 1s, and I'm going to draw parallel arrows. So this one is going to go, and no, I'm going to draw arrows through each of these. So I'm going to draw an arrow diagonal through this one, and then between them, and then this one, and then between them, and then this one, and between them. So I'm going to go in this order. So this arrow goes through the 1s. The next arrow is going to go through between the 1s and the 2p's. So I'm going to go between them. So they're parallel. Now this one's going to go through the 2p, but it's also going to go through the 3s, because the 3s, that's not a very straight line. Now I'm going to go between them. So I'm going to go between the 2p, 3d. So I'm going to go between them, draw a parallel arrow. And now I'm going to go through the 3D. So I'm going to go through the 3D, and the 3D goes through 4P, 5S. And then I'm going to draw an arrow between 3D and 4F. So that's going to go through these. And then I'm going to go through the 4F. And so the parallel arrow goes through 4F, 5D, 6P, and so on. And I could just continue doing this. So between the 4F and the 5G, I'm going to draw a parallel arrow. So it's going to go through 5F, 6D, 7P, and then 8S. And then I could keep going, right? I could keep going through the 5G and so on. And so now that you have this, the arrows tell you where to go. So you start here, right? You start here, and then you end wherever you want to go. So you fill in your electrons according to the number of electrons that sublevel can fill up, right? So my first 2 electrons go into the 1s. So I'm going to start here, move through here. My arrow takes me through the 1s. So the 1s is the first sublevel that I'm filling in. Now that I'm at the end of that arrow, I go back to the top of this arrow. So if I draw kind of this way, so if I go, I'm going to go back to that arrow here. I'm going to go down this way. So then next is the 2s. So let me write that out. So first is the 1s, and I go through, and then the 2s, right? 2s is next, and I go through here, and then I go back to the end of this arrow, and I follow this diagonally this way, and the first one is the 2p. So I'm going to fill in the 2p with 6 electrons. So that would be 2p, 6. So I should put 2 in there, 2 in there, and 6 in there, right? So I'm going to go through the 2p and then followed by the 3s. 2 electrons go into the 3s sublevel. So I'm going to put 3s, and then that's 2. And then I'm done with the 3s. I'm at my arrow here. So now I got to go back to the end of this arrow, and then I go down. So next would be 3p, and the p sublevel has 6 electrons. Why? Because that sublevel has 3p orbitals. Each orbital holds 2 electrons maximum. 2 electrons, 3 orbitals, that's 6 total. So then that's going to be 3p6. And then next would be 4s. So again, the 4s sublevel, s sublevels hold a maximum of 2 electrons, and then so on. So as I'm going through the arrows, I'm writing down the electron configuration, and I'm filling in the electrons that I have, and I stop when I have no more electrons. So this is a really easy tool to use to help you remember the order and how to fill in the order of the sublevels and write down your electron configuration as you are going through. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you learned a lot, if this is the first time you've seen this, then I'm glad. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified by other videos that I put out. Comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think and ask me any questions. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.